we're going to bring on our book club members who have signed on, and also author Victoria Christopher Murray. Signed on, and someone has a device on, and they could mute their device. That would be wonderful. But I do want to say, from my own point of view, I recently returned from a 10-day cruise to Alaska, as some of you all who watch the show know. I got back, I was on, it was August 21st to the 31st. And this was one of the books I took on my cruise to read, because I wanted it to be fresh in my mind when we did the show. So first, I want to say, welcome, Victoria Christopher Murray, to Black Authors Matter TV. You were on for your other book, and which was hugely successful, the private librarian.
The personal librarian.
Okay, it was hugely successful, and I've personally known Victoria since she really started writing books, and her first self-published book was in our bookstore in 2000, 2001 back there, and so I've been following her amazing career ever since then. She's kept writing. Yeah, some people stopped writing. Victoria didn't stop writing, and then now she's going in different directions and all kinds of stuff. So we're excited about that, and we have, I think, 5 book clubs represented on the show tonight so far. Sometimes they sign in late, but the first thing I want to do is do a roll call of the book clubs that are on. If you all can say which book club you represent and what part of the country.
And we have a couple of people hiding. I don't know why y'all are hiding.
Yeah, everybody. For now, you can hide later. So Mama Tony, you go first, since you're on the screen.
Hey, Victoria. You know who I am. I'm Mama Tony from PWOC Book Club. We will celebrate 25 years this June, and I've been following you as long as Gwen. I have my original signed copy that I got at Books A Million in Jacksonville all those years ago. So
I know. We were all so much younger and skinnier then.
Yes, we were.
Like 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My children were children then. Now they're grown.
Oh yeah. My daughter was a child. She was like 10 years. She was under 10. Mm-hmm. Now she has a baby. She's married with a baby. So
yeah, and you met Sylvia, our daughter, when she was a little girl. Yeah, and you kept saying you couldn't believe where she grew up.
And then, like, she went to college and graduated in like 2 days. And then, I mean, life is just moving. But
while we're talking about daughters, my daughter helped you sell books at the Zeta Phi Beta conference back in 2008.
Girl, what year was that?
That was 2008.
And then she was with you when you came to see me in Germany, right?
Yep, she sure was.
She came, you drove from Brussels, right?
Well, yeah, I was in Belgium, but I was actually past Brussels. So it took me about 3 hours to get there.
Wow. So yeah. I mean, y'all been rolling with me.
I think we probably all have stories that we can tell. You used to ask me, where do you live? Because every time I go somewhere.
Do you know?
He was in Birmingham. I was there, but that's my hometown, so I went home. I'm just 20 minutes from Jacksonville, so when she's in Florida, I'm there.
I think it was just like maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I realized you lived in Florida, and I was shocked. Because I think I see you every place else except Florida.
And I don't live in Florida. I actually live on the Georgia side, but it's just a short drive across over to Florida.
See, I don't even know where you live.
So, Mama Tony, you've given your name. Melinda, can you tell us which book club you're with and where you're located?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm in Georgia, Well, we have members in Georgia and in Florida, but it's the At the Kitchen Table Book Club.
Oh, I love that title, that name.
Thank you.
Okay, Priscilla Myers.
Hi, I
Hi.
see my other founder, Yvette, is on here as well. We're Sisters and Friends Book Club. And we have been going for 27 years, Yvette.
Yep.
27
Wow.
years this year. And we did read The Personal Librarian, which we all thought it was great. So kudos to you. And we've read other books of yours as well. With us going back as far as we do, our founder, Miss Yvette, she did a listing for us. So we have all of our books that we have read since we've started. So
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
that's
and
amazing.
we read a lot. So
Wow.
yes, so she and I, and we have two more ladies. One of them is deceased, and we have another one, Melinda. We started the book club in 1990.
99, right? 97.
1990, kind of 1996, but we really got structured in 97. We are serious about what we do. Even during the
Love it.
pandemic, we did not miss a beat. We meet 10, is it 9 months? 9 months?
9 out of 12 months.
9, yeah. We started out trying to do
Oh.
it a year, but it began to be a little bit much. But we've been going strong and we have not stopped. We pay dues, we have bylaws, we are serious about what we do.
Okay.
And I'll let Sister Yvette say a little bit more.
I'm loving the business aspect.
Huh?
So I'm
Yeah,
loving
we're
the business
serious.
aspect.
Yes,
you
we
don't-
serious.
If you don't read your book and you don't submit a review, you get 2 strikes. You have to pay. We make you pay $2.50, no, $5 if you don't read us, or $2.50.
Yes.
So we
Yeah.
build up our treasury, and then during the summer we use the money to do outings. So
I love it.
yeah, but we like Priscilla said, we read your book last September. That was our first book of our book, because we started in September and we go through May.
Okay.
So we read it last September, and we're just glad to be here. And I might want to add.
Oh, thank you, Laura.
Well, you know, I'm just gonna say this.
Okay, we're not going there, are we?
Yes, we are.
There's a whole bunch of people in here, but the only ones that matter. Look at that perfect.
Uh-oh,
Perfect.
Look at that. Look at the.
And we're
You know what I?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're from Illinois. Well, we all started here, like in Chicago. We're in the south suburbs of Chicago. And I remember Priscilla did relocate to Texas. So
I'm in
now
Texas.
she meets us on Zoom. So we have, like we said, we haven't missed a beat.
Yeah, y'all are in those states with those governors: Georgia, Texas, Florida. Ooh, Lord have mercy.
With the crazy folks.
Y'all picked all the things. But what I was saying about the last book club, tell me your name of the book club again.
Sisters, sisters, SISTAHS.
Okay, sister.
And friends book club.
I
And where are
love
you
it.
located?
In Illinois,
They're in
most of us
Illinois.
in the south suburbs of Illinois, and then
Gotcha.
Priscilla just relocated to Texas.
To
So
I relocated.
But
by-
if you guys get a chance to like print, I don't know how you could do it, but print all the books that you've read, like as an author, I'd be so excited to see that, whether or not my name was on there.
Oh, it was on there. It was on
More
there.
than one.
But it would just be kind of exciting to see something like that, you know?
Yeah, that's
Priscilla,
amazing.
you want to hold it up just to
List.
show what
This is
I
what
actually
she
put
did.
that together.
Okay,
And
that's
it's all
that
about
is
books.
amazing.
And so
Yeah.
here, and Yvette can maybe send it to you,
Yeah.
Victoria.
Yeah, I mean,
It
I would
lists
just
all
like
the books.
everybody, I would just like kind of everyone to see it. I don't know how, I
sure.
don't have it in my mind, but I think like on social media, that would be so cool because people would go through, I'm sure you've read some of the books of some of our dear authors who've passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that it would be so cool for readers and writers to see. I don't know how to make that happen, because it's so many.
Okay.
But I just think it's such I gotta figure that out.
And we
Yeah,
have a
because
running list too. We have a running list too. And
Yeah, I just think
for all 25 years, at the beginning of January, we add the books onto the list from the
Right.
previous year, and then
That's
get
how
to
we
the
do.
Mhm.
I love that.
And it's
And I read-
interesting because I'm sorry, I'm just
Go
because
ahead.
we started out 27 years ago, and just to look at how our taste in books has
Yeah.
changed. Because when we
Yes.
first started, we were all in our early 30s, and we
Yeah.
read a lot of relationship books, a lot of Elin
Yeah.
Harris,
Yeah.
all of
Eric
those.
Jerome Dickey,
Relationship
all
Travis
of
books.
them.
Yeah.
Hunter.
And we
Yes.
only read Black authors, but then as the years went on,
Right.
we added more. We
I
added a lot
love
of books
that.
as well as white authors. So yeah, we all
Because that was our purpose too when we started. We wanted to showcase the Black authors because at that time you didn't have a lot. There was not a lot at
Yeah.
all. So
Yeah.
we wanted to make sure that we, paid respect and stuff and brought the Black authors out, and learned and talked about not all of the other ones, which their books are good as well. But we did definitely showcase Black art. We learned about a lot. Elin Harris was like the eye opener for us.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
oh, I was calling up my girlfriends. I was married. My husband hadn't passed away then. And I called up my single girlfriends and I was like, have y'all heard about this?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
I mean,
had
that
some,
was
we had
back
some
in the
great
day.
discussions, and the nice thing, and I'm gonna stop after this one, but the one good thing about it is that sometimes we would have different books that we would read, and the books, sometimes the books weren't all that great, but what would be ideal is our discussion. We
Yes.
might rate the book like a 2, because we had a scale from 5 to 1. And we might rate it a 2 or something, but our discussion about that book was like a 5 and above. So it was
Wow.
always nice and to get a different perspective because it kind of made you look at it a little
But
different.
isn't that the great thing about books is to inspire conversation? Because
Exactly.
even if you didn't necessarily like the book, just the fact that it would inspire conversation, it would get people talking and make people think. I think that's the best thing about a book.
And
Yeah.
that's
I agree.
that's what
And it also allows you to learn about the people that you're in the book club with. It's like, when you sit in
Yes.
church, you say you sit next to this person, but you don't know. But sometimes those book discussions will allow somebody to vent and you find out things that you was thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't know. I would have never thought that she would have gone through something like that.
Oh
we
yeah.
We've had some meetings where we didn't know whether we still liked each other. And then we've had some where we were actually crying, the tears, ugly tears, But that's what a good book discussion will do for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everybody brings their own experiences, their own background to the discussion. And that's what makes it so wonderful.
And nothing better than having a glass of wine and some good food
Hello.
with it too.
Yeah, well, the Kush City Book Club, we're 20, what year is this? 22 years old.
Okay.
But we don't have all of the books we read because we had change in leadership, and so we don't have all of the books. But I'm sure our list is going to be similar to some of your lists over the years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we read almost, I would say, 80% of what we read is Black authors, and we meet every month. Now, sometimes we'll skip a month, but we're a monthly book club. So we didn't skip a beat after COVID. As a matter of fact, after COVID forced us onto Zoom, we've been on Zoom ever since.
We have.
Yeah. It makes it easier, doesn't it?
Easier to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even Gwen, with how long you and Rhonda have had Black Authors Matters TV. I mean, that probably, if you showed a list of all the authors.
Yes, that's a lot.
It's,
Yeah,
if
I just think it's
you-
just, I just think it's so cool, just to see all of that and to see how things have changed and to see people who, because probably with you who keep lists, probably half of the authors you read from 1997 to 2005 are no longer writing.
Yes.
Yes, or either
Mhm.
they're deceased
Are they, I would say,
Yeah.
are deceased.
or
Mhm.
they're not writing anymore. Yeah, so it's a whole, it's not that many like you and Rashonda and a few others that have continually been writing.
Yeah.
Hill's another one. There's
Yeah,
some.
because I took a break. I had a dissertation to write.
That's a good reason to take a break then. I forgive you.
Thank
for
you.
this-
I'm dipping my big toe back in. I'll be back.
Okay.
Now we do have a list of all the guests that have been on the show, and we
Yeah,
had
I just
over
think it's so
500
wonderful.
guests. So
Oh
not
my-
all are authors, but 75% are authors. But then
Oh
book
my
clubs, bookstores, agents, people who have book projects, publishers, anybody in the book space
Yeah.
been interviewing. And it's just been, and we didn't know where it was going to go when we started the show. We didn't know we were going to get to 3 years and over 500 guests. And,
That's
Neither did we.
and we have some committed viewers, and we have a huge after show viewership. Like
Yeah.
our shows, the live stream, we have a couple hundred people will watch it when it's live. But
Yeah.
after a week, it'll be 2,000
I
views.
believe. Yeah, because then people can see it at their convenience. So.
Right, at their lead. So
Well,
Victoria, I
and-
have a big question for you before we get started
Okay.
with the book. How did
Okay.
you continually shift genres?
I know.
Stayed in fiction, but you have shifted genres, and I say that as a person who's multi-genre myself, but not within one genre. Like you shifted
And
within the same genre.
And to add to that, Victoria was one of the first people to kind of redefine the way we looked at Christian fiction.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, the thing is that so interesting that I do get all the accolades for like starting that Black Christian fiction genre, but I've never written one book until The Personal Librarian. I've never written one book to a genre. Never one book.
Okay.
I only write the story and then people put it into a genre. So when I wrote Temptation, and when I'm sure I've told you and Rhonda and Tony, you probably heard this. When I wrote Temptation, I didn't know I was writing Christian fiction.
Mm.
I didn't sit down to write Christian fiction. I sat down to write a story. And so the characters in the story were Christian, but I had never read Christian fiction. So it wasn't anything that I would have written. And everybody says, well, there's a reason why you had never read Black Christian fiction. It wasn't out there.
It didn't exist.
It wasn't out there then, but I was just writing a story, and the characters in that book were Christian. And so it was my agent who said to me, this is Christian fiction. So then every book I've written after that, I just write the story. I'm not writing to, let me make sure this is going to fit into Christian fiction, or let me make sure this is going to be a mystery, or let me make sure. The first time I wrote to a genre was when I wrote The Personal Librarian.
Okay. Okay.
And so one of the best compliments I got when the book was being reviewed for when Personal Librarian was being reviewed by the professional reviewers, I think it was Booklist, that said that this book had been written by Marie Benedict, who wrote about versatile women. That's what she did. And he said, and then it's also written by the incredible, versatile writer, Victoria Christopher Murray. And I thought that was like the best compliment I've ever received, because it just says that this was a white man saying she could write anything.
Yeah, well, I remember when you came on the show before Personal Librarian came out. It wasn't out yet. It was like a couple of
Yeah.
weeks before.
And didn't I tell
And
you?
you did tell me. You said this book is being promoted differently. It's a whole different experience, being more mainstreamed. You're
Yeah.
not, and it's done really well. And then you come after that with the First Ladies. And then from what I read somewhere, was it on here or somewhere, you're working on another book. So let's talk about the First Lady. And just tell the audience that it's in here in an author's note or acknowledgement how it came about. But just tell the audience how this whole idea
How
of the book.
Ladies came about. So, it was interesting when I wrote The Personal Librarian with Marie Benedict, and she's a white author. We thought we were just writing a book together about this wonderful character, Belle DaCosta Green. We thought it was very important for us to write the book together to get Belle's full story. And that was it. But then as we started touring, while people loved Belle DaCosta Green, people were more interested in the story of me and Marie. People were fascinated because remember the book didn't come out until 2021, but we had written it in 2020. We had done the edits. We were doing all the edits about a book about race while race was exploding around us in this country. And so people were fascinated by the fact that here was a Black woman, a white woman, different backgrounds, different writing experiences, because she had made the New York Times. She had lived a different life. They didn't put her over here in this little publishing, I won't call it the ghetto, but they didn't put her into just a little area. And so we had these different experiences, and people were fascinated about our experience together. And as we were on the road, people would come up to us after we'd spoken and we were signing books, and people would come up to us and say, I want one of you, or I want one of you. The crowds were predominantly white, but people were very interested in how did a Black woman and a white woman in this polarized world work so well together. And then we realized that maybe there was more to us writing together than just telling a story. Maybe we were also part of the story of, if you open up your mind to have these tough conversations, because Maria and I had to have some tough conversations writing these books. Then maybe we can make a difference in this world, just one person at a time. So we were looking for, with our next book, after The Personal Librarian, a way that we could really show the importance of conversation, and that a Black woman and a white woman could be friends. And that was a gift to us. Eleanor and Mary just happened to be exactly what we wanted to show. And it's the story of two powerful women in their own right. But when they came together and became best friends during a time of Jim Crow and segregation, and changed some things, because the entire civil rights movement happened because of them. When they got FDR to sign that executive order, because he wasn't going to do it, he had to be pushed.
Yeah, that's true.
When they got him to sign the executive order to desegregate the military, no place else in the country was desegregated at that point. And they used the military to move it further through schools, through restaurants, through everything. And it would have never happened without Eleanor and Mary. And then writing that book gave us a chance to show the tough conversations that Black people and white people need to have. And to show that you can make mistakes with others, but white people need to be able to have a safe place to ask some questions. And asking Black people is not always safe because with even me, I would say to Marie sometimes, you really don't know that. And they don't. And they don't. Because how would they? We see racism every day. Every freaking day we see racism. They don't. How would they? They only see it in these big spurts. They only see it on TV with Bloody Sunday. Then they see it on TV with George Floyd. And when they see it in the big way like that, then they jump in. But we're wondering, well, why aren't you jumping in every day? Because they don't see it. There's no way for them to see it.
Well, it doesn't happen to them. So
yeah,
it's not happening in their neighborhoods. It's not happening every day. They don't experience it like
right. It's not, because it's not happening to them, it's like it's not happening.
But what most of the racism that I experience, I don't get pulled over by cops or anything, but I experience those microaggressions that they happen one after the other until I blow up, and then all you see is the angry Black woman.
Right.
Because they're like, why did she do that?
Yeah.
Why is she I live in Upper Down. I live in DC, but DC ain't Black no more.
I didn't know you lived in DC. You live down the street from me, Victoria.
I've been in DC now for years.
Oh, okay.
And so I the other day, the concierge holds all of our packages. And the other day I went down to get a package, and the concierge was helping someone else in my building. Another owner was helping them find a package, and they couldn't find it or anything. So I'm standing there on my phone just waiting because it's, wait my turn. So another owner comes in and stands behind me, no problem. Then when the concierge helps the other woman, the lady comes from behind me, moves to the side and says, can you get a package for unit, 15? And I said, she can after she get my package.
Right.
Wait a minute. Wait, no. Then the woman says to me, and she's all apologetic. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought you worked here.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
And so I said to her, what makes you think I work here? I mean, I'm dressed like you. I'm standing here like you. There's only one difference between us. She's like, don't get angry. Don't get angry. But what it was by the end of the day, I had it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
You're frozen.
Uh-oh.
You're frozen.
Okay,
Am
I back?
We can't see you. Let's see.
There
Yeah,
you are.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I just, oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to tell this person that I'm on an interview. But the challenge was that sorry about this.
It's okay.
I just wanted so that they don't keep calling back. The challenge was I had microaggression after microaggression after microaggression all day. And so the lady, I bet you if I were to tell her that was racist, she would be horrified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because she would not consider herself a racist. But you can't get more racist than that. And that's systemic, it's like in them, because what would make her think I worked there? I didn't have on jeans what? There's only one difference between me and her, because she was apologetic. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So if she had stopped right there, it would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you worked here.
She didn't have to say that part.
Exactly.
Because that part changed everything.
Everything.
The whole dynamic.
And
Well,
so
we've been
these books,
delivered from having to wait our turn. you know, like our parents or grandparents, you know, they had to wait till all the white people were served before they could get served.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
part that bothers me though is not even so much that she thought you worked here, was that she kept saying, "Don't get angry, don't get angry." You know,
Yeah.
it's that fear of the angry Black woman that
Yeah.
that really infuriates me. Even when Black men say it, oh, why are you so angry? Why do I have to be angry because I disagree with something that you said,
Mhm.
or because I'm not a part of the status quo? It doesn't make me
Yeah.
angry or argumentative or combative. So that I
Yeah.
think that's the part that bothered me more than her thinking you worked there.
Yeah, and those are what I call and I don't want to sound racist, but those are what I call white women tears. Because it's almost like what happened with Coco Gauff with in
Right.
the tennis match.
Mhm.
And the white one, because she stood up for herself. She had to advocate for
Did.
herself
Sure
because they
did.
were giving different rules to her than they were given to the other person. She told the umpire, the chair umpire, "We ain't doing this today."
Mhm.
And then her opponent went into the room and cried,
Well,
into the press room and
but
cried.
what's funny about that though is that nobody's talking about the fact that her opponent actually yelled at the umpire first.
First, yes.
Because when she got the point taken away, she said, "Why are you doing this?" And she starts yelling at her and fussing at her before Coco said anything. And then Coco had to
Yeah.
tell the lady, "No, you're not allowed to sit down yet."
You're not
Because
allowed
she
to
sat
sit
down.
down. Yeah.
So yeah, so
you
nobody's
know,
talking about that part.
and so these are conversations that we have among ourselves.
Mhm.
Black people have them we have them among ourselves. I don't know if white people have them among themselves. I don't know if there may be
Probably
no
not.
clue. And so we're hoping that these books will give people a chance to have these conversations with people who don't look like them. And fiction is a very safe place to ask questions. It's a safe place to land.
Mhm.
And on the road, we've gotten some interesting questions. So that's how the book came about. That's why we write the book. And that's why we'll keep writing these books.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
So one thing that and I want the other book clubs to give their impressions. I learned a lot about Dr. Bethune that I did not know.
Oh, right.
I knew her, but I didn't. It was a lot I didn't know, and I didn't know that she was as influential behind the scenes because she really preceded she kind of volleyed the ball up, teed the ball up for the 50s civil rights action.
Yeah. Yeah, she moved us from Republican to Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I love best about Mary McLeod Bethune, because all of us think we know her, I've never seen anyone, I've never met anyone, I don't know anybody who is just a pure force. And what I mean by that is when they wouldn't let her students go to the hospital, she just built the hospital.
Mhm.
When they wouldn't give her teacher any insurance, she just bought an insurance company. And the best thing is when they wouldn't let her grandson or her students go to the beach.
Right. And she built
Bethune Beach is still there.
Yes, it is.
Still there. She
That's
bought a
amazing.
beach. That to me, I was done. I was done after that. I was like, that is pure force.
Right.
We don't need you. I will just do my own. And in fact, when she opened up McLeod Hospital, that was when the white hospital started taking Black people. Because once there's somebody to serve Black people, just like bookstores, Gwen, with bookstores with Barnes and Noble, Borders weren't taking Black authors when I started. Then all of a sudden the Black bookstores came in and now they all want to carry the books too.
Mhm.
Yeah, they still limit them though.
They still limit, that's right. They
They
still
want,
limit.
yeah,
limited.
they want to see what's going
many.
to sell. I was
Right.
talking with Tiffany, actually. We were talking about historical fiction and how there's so much historical fiction going that's on the market right now.
Yeah,
And part of the reason why is because these publishing companies are seeing that historical fiction sells. So they'll go ahead and
Mhm.
saturate the market because they know they're going to get at least a small percentage of that
yeah. That's
market.
what they did with urban fiction. Remember, there's always
Yes.
this
Mhm.
genre.
thing.
They're just looking for their Black author to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of put their finger to the wind, and then
Yeah,
they signed so many, and the self-published ones who've done well, and then they find others. But I am ecstatic because historical fiction is my favorite genre. So I mean, Black historical fiction, preferably from the 1800s, the early 1900s. That's what I love, because those books show the real passion and love and drive. And you had to have some serious love back then, because to keep all that, the families are trying to keep everything together and love somebody you might not see but once a year, or
yeah.
that was real love. And and when people can really tell those stories well, I miss J. California Cooper, because she
Oh,
was so good at
she was
that.
one of our favorites. She
Yeah, we loved
she
her.
did
Yeah.
all of hers.
She
One
was
of
so
our
good.
founders that passed away, she introduced us to J. California Cooper, and we read, I think, just about everything she wrote, we read.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
My favorite of
It's
hers was The Wake of the Wind. That
Oh,
was
Yeah.
my favorite of hers. But I learned a lot about Mary McLeod Bethune, and also Eleanor Roosevelt, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I still wonder, it seemed like and I don't know if it's the way it's written or if it was their relationship, but I'm pretty sure that it was their relationship. She seemed like she was still holding back some things, because she was only giving Eleanor Roosevelt as much as she felt like she could handle. She pushed the envelope some.
Well, I just think that we do hold back.
Yeah.
I think even with the best of white friends, Black people have to hold back.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And
Because
so,
they can't accept from us what we can accept from each other. So we
Yeah.
reach a certain point and then we stop, because we know if we go over that point, then that friendship may be shot to hell in a handbag.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
Yeah.
Or they just don't get it. It's
Yeah.
some
That too.
just don't get it.
yeah,
And so, and you really can't explain it to them, because you have to live it.
you have to live it.
In order to understand it. And so that's just the way it is. But it's good to be able to share some of it, because in the past we really didn't share any of it.
But we don't. But one of the things, and I agree with you, Gwen, because I think Black people just have to hold it back just a little bit, but they don't hold back.
No.
And
No.
and I appreciate that, because we have gotten questions on the road from white people of things they just want to know. Like one person said, and these are white people standing up in an audience where there are other Black people too. So I do appreciate that. And they always started with, "I don't want to offend you."
Okay.
But
I'm getting ready to say something offensive. Go ahead.
I think it's offensive.
I think the challenge is how they've been received sometimes. I think we need to take some responsibility for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think with us, we're tired of explaining the same thing over and over again. But they're like children. You don't ever get tired of telling your child something. You have to keep telling them until they get it. And I think it's hard for Black people to say, I'm not their trainer. Well, if we're not the trainer, who is?
Exactly.
And so, but like one of the questions was, in the book, I saw that you use colored and Negro, and I know some of my friends want to be called African American. What should I call you? Because she didn't know. and she didn't want to offend anyone by saying someone was African American, and then they want to be called Black. And
That
I
is
said,
such a good point, because it happens so much where I've seen it on YouTube, I've seen it on Instagram, where a white person will make a comment and they said, I'm not Black, but I want to know such and such. And then the people in the comments just yell at them and say, this is not your business. Don't ask these questions. So how are they supposed to know? How are they not supposed to be offensive if they don't have a safe place to ask the question?
And that's what I'm hoping, Rhonda, that these books do. Give people a safe place. And then
What did you answer?
I told you that we're Black because you see Black Lives Matter. But I said, but you know what? Because we didn't have an identity, like you came here and you know exactly who you are, we have shifted through the years trying to find ourselves. I said, just don't call us nigger. And then if somebody gets it, you seriously, that's what I told her. Just don't call us that. And if somebody gets offended, just say to them, I apologize. How would you like me to address you? Because some people will prefer to be called Black, some people will defer. So that was one. Another great question was, and this woman stood up in Maryland where it was like, there were 300 people there. It was about 150 people Black, 150 people white. So this young white woman took a chance. And she stood up and she said, I don't want to offend anybody, but why, if we're trying to go for equality, why in a sentence is Black capitalized when you're talking about a Black woman? And if you say white woman, the W is lowercase.
Whoa.
That's a good question.
That's a good question because I had written that in my author's note. I had said a Black woman and a white woman, and the editor made the W lowercase. And so I asked why, and she said, it is the style, something style, it's grammatically correct that the B is capitalized and the W is lowercase. I still didn't understand it.
Oh, yeah.
That woman, well, it's a style thing. So the publishers go by this book. It's called AP Style or something. I don't understand. But then I just happened to be I'm working on my first solo historical fiction project. And it takes place during the Harlem Renaissance. And I had just happened to read that W.E.B. Du Bois was the first person to say that they needed to capitalize Negro. Because, and then if you look at all articles 100 years ago, Caucasian was capitalized, but Negro was lowercase. And so he was telling them, you're racist for not capitalizing the N. The New York Times says, we don't care. We're not capitalizing it because y'all don't mean anything. So for years, even though we kept asking, it wasn't until after George Floyd that they put it in the style book that Black has to be capitalized and white is lowercase. And here's the reason. Black describes race and culture.
Right. It's a title.
White describes skin color. Their race is Caucasian. Our race is Black. So when you write Caucasian, you put the C.
The capital.
But where Black is not describing our skin color. Black is describing our race. Okay. And so that's why it's capitalized, because when you talk about any race, Italian American, African American, it was always capitalized. White is their skin color. Caucasian is their race. And so when I said that, the young white woman, when she came up to have her book signed, gave me a hug because she said she had asked it once on social media, and
probably got jumped on.
And she said she didn't have any idea why she asked me and Marie, I guess with Marie sitting there to help that night. Well, also, so that was a great lesson for her, right? And now she can go back and tell her friends. Well, also that night, a Black reader texted me afterwards and she said, you sure had a lot of patience with her, because I would have told her, your whole life is capitalized. Let us have our little
That would not have solved
That-
anything.
So wait a minute. So I said that wouldn't do anything. That doesn't move the conversation forward. And we can't just keep blaming other people. We have to participate in moving the conversation forward.
Right.
And Keisha said, you know what, Victoria, I never thought about it that way. And now I'm going to try to be more like you with that. So I think there were 2 lessons taught that night. I just think there were 2 lessons taught, and they all came out of the discussion of that book.
Okay, well.
That's a great thing.
It is. I want the other 2 book clubs, if you have any, or Mama Tony, if you have any questions about the book, because we're getting close to the end of our time, and we have 3 trivia questions that we're going to be asking.
Okay.
So people can
I
win.
know. Yeah, I'm sorry I messed this up. I came in here talking to y'all like y'all my girlfriend.
I don't know. I'm enjoying it.
Girlfriend,
We sisters. We
your
sisters.
whole book writing career.
I know, so I kind of messed up the thing, talking about all kinds of stuff.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just want to make sure that the other clubs had any questions about the book. And then I wanted to.
I know, because Melinda, we've been just talking over you. Poor Melinda ain't let you say a word.
Give her a chance to say something.
All right, everybody be quiet. Melinda, what you got to say, girl?
Questions. I just want to make a statement of how this book took me on every emotion that I could think of. I was happy, I was sad, I was angry. I enjoyed it. I read it in like 2 days. I just wanted to make sure I was here so I can listen to what was said. So I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to say that.
Oh,
But
well,
you been talking over me. So thank you. It was well written.
Oh, thank you. Especially that first scene, man. That's enough to get you angry, right?
Yes.
A lot of parts. I felt like I was in the room when they were having the tea. I could hear the tea being poured. I felt like I was in the room when Nina was singing her song when she was listening to Strange Fruit.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was there the whole time. So thank you.
I love it. And then the way we opened the book, that really happened. Most of the scenes in the book really happened.
Okay.
We just had to draw on sometimes we just had a little seed and then we had to fill it in because we don't know what people said. We don't know what they were wearing. We don't know everyone who was there, but everything really happened.
Okay. Now how about Priscilla and Yvette? You all have to combine. You all are one.
Right. Well, I'll be perfectly honest, I haven't read the book yet, but I have it. I purchased it.
Okay.
Thank you.
We did read like I said, the personal librarian. How do you all write so it appears seamless? Because we've read books from other authors where they were co-written and you could actually tell when one person starts and then another person starts. But your book was seamless and you couldn't tell where one, so how do you all collaborate when you write?
And that's one of the things I'm most proud of. Even in the First Ladies, you would assume that I just wrote everything with Mary McLeod Bethune and Marie wrote everything with Eleanor Roosevelt. But even people say that even when they assumed that, it was still felt like one. So the way we do that is we write every chapter together, not physically. So what we do is with the personal librarian, we talked about the upcoming chapters. So we would talk about like 5-6 chapters at a time. And we would talk it out so much that by the time it came to writing, we kind of knew what it was going to say. So in the personal librarian, when it was a chapter on Belle and her life and her family, I wrote that first. If it was about art and history, because that was Marie's specialty, she wrote that chapter first, and then we switched. And then we would add in our parts and change. So for example, the personal librarian was the first time I wrote historical fiction. So I had been writing contemporary fiction. So there were times when I wanted Belle to say to JP Morgan, "What's up, dude? You better stop that, dude." That didn't quite work, in early 20th century.
Right.
That just didn't work well. And
Right.
so Marie would come in and we would say that, that was like her magical historical brush. But then I am a person very focused on putting the reader there. I have this big sign here in my office that says, "Put the reader there." So in The Personal Librarian, the very first scene, the very first time Bernard and Belle are together, Marie wrote that scene first because they were going to be going, they had come from an art place or something. I don't know, but she wrote that scene first. And this is no exaggeration. She wrote something like, they kissed outside the room, then they opened the hotel room door, they went inside. The next sentence said, and then it was morning. I was like, oh no, girl, no, let me tell you about my readers. My readers are gonna need to know what happened inside that hotel.
What happened until morning? I need to know.
That's right. I mean, just the first time. We don't need to know every single time, but the first time, she was a virgin, all of that stuff. We need to understand. And so Marie always tells everybody Victoria wrote that scene. Like when we did our signing and her parents were there, she said, "I just want everybody to know Victoria wrote that scene." And then there's another example in The Personal Librarian. Remember when Bernard was taking Belle, they were in London before they got to Italy. Okay. And he said, "We're going to have lunch with somebody." And it was his wife. That really happened. So when Marie wrote that scene, Marie said, "It was hard for me to sit at lunch, but I got through it." I was like, "No, girl, let me explain. We need to know how she was feeling. Can you imagine sitting there with the wife?
Right.
Can you imagine? And so that's why it kind of feels like one person wrote it, because we would switch the chapters back and forth like 3-4 times.
Okay.
Do you think that it was easy for you to collaborate? Because I know you and Rashonda have written quite a few books together, so you were already used to collaborating on a book. So did that make this process a little bit easier for you?
It's always easier for me to write with another author because you have someone to talk it through. You have someone, like I'm writing this book by myself and I still can call up people, but when somebody else is as invested in it as you are, it's so much easier. So this was the first time Marie had ever collaborated. And so she wanted to know, what's the process? And because she's an attorney by trade, she writes full time now. But she, so she's an attorney. She has flow charts and spreadsheets, and she believes in deadlines. Clearly, I don't believe in deadlines. I think they're suggestions because my book is a month late now, so I'm feeling the pressure now. And so I just told her that there's no rules. We're gonna do it as we go along, and then every book is gonna be different because we've already signed our contract to do our third book.
Okay, together. So y'all are gonna have a third book together.
We're gonna have a third book together. My book by myself will come out first. It comes out not this January, next January, and then after that, our next book will come out together.
Okay. Now I have one final quick question before I ask these trivia questions, and people get to win a autographed copy of The First Ladies. And Victoria, you're gonna be sending me the book, right? Okay. All right. So I have one quick question. Is the reason why there weren't photos in the book because it's fiction?
It's fiction, yes.
Okay. Okay, because I would have loved to have seen some photos of them together, but
because then it makes it, then if you do that, it makes it feel like a nonfiction, and we never want to be nonfiction.
Right.
Because, because biographers hate historical fiction anyway. I've seen people online talk about these people that make up this stuff, they should not be doing it. It's either history or it's not. And I don't think they understand that people are not going to read history textbooks.
It brings an appreciation.
exactly.
Sometimes when you read a historical fiction, even whether it's a book or whether you're watching a movie, it makes you appreciate what really happened. And
Yeah.
often people will do their own research after that.
After
Yeah.
that, people start doing their own research.
Yes,
but
they
I'm
do.
not going to read a history textbook. I'm going to tell you
Right.
right now.
It's true. It's true. All right, so we have 3 trivia questions. Anyone can answer them in the chat and the comments online. And
Just give me time to put it in the chat before y'all start
will.
going crazy.
But but Rhonda has them. She's going to post them, but I'm going to say them verbally. Okay, so the question number one, what was the first name of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune's son? So you have had to have read the book to know the answers to these questions that I want. What was the first? Okay, Melinda Wynn got it in the chat here.
We got it there quick.
Okay,
I told you, let me write it.
I ain't even got my fingers to the keyboard yet, Melinda.
Gotta be quick. Gotta be
Melinda
quick.
got it
Gotta be
fast.
quick.
Okay, so Melinda, you have never won a book, so you'll need to DM the book festivals, the page that you're watching this on. DM us your mailing address, tell us you want the autograph copy, and we'll mail it to you. Okay, so Melinda Wynn won the first one. Okay, second question.
She gonna win them all. You see how
She
fast
is.
she
Hands are already. I can see it. I see it.
so she could just get, she gonna give these books away.
Okay, that was the easiest one. And you can only win one since it's an autograph copy. So if you can only win one. So, okay, the next one. What was the name of the women's organization Bethune started?
I know that. Oh,
Okay,
You better
have
go
to type
and put-
it. You have to
Dang,
type, and you
Priscilla.
have to type
Priscilla
the
got
whole.
it.
You have to type the whole word, the whole
Got
title,
it.
not the acronym.
Oh.
It has to be the whole
All right,
name.
come on, type it up. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You got this.
So let's see who gets it. If somebody gets it online or in the chat on here, either way, you can win the book. So the name of the organization that Mary McLeod Bethune started.
You don't know this.
And because we're in the final 2 minutes, I need to ask the other one. So if you do it after we go off the air, that's fine too. Whoever does it first. It has to be the whole name of the organization. Okay, here's the final one. This one's trickier.
Yeah, Priscilla still got it.
Okay, Priscilla Myers got it. Okay, and Priscilla, I'm not sure if you won a book before either.
I have not.
Okay, so DM us your mailing address. And the final question, what was the name of the flight instructor at Tuskegee that flew Eleanor Roosevelt in his plane? So the name of the organization was the National Council of Negro Women. That was the name of the
Ooh,
organization.
that's a girl. I wrote the book. I don't remember his name, and that's a real person.
Name of the flight instructor.
I
We're on
remember-
our last minute and we have to go
I
off the
remember
air.
his nickname.
The right one.
So if you get it afterwards, we're still checking the comments. So Victoria, we're closing out the show. We got 1 minute left. Thank you so much for participating.
And thank you for always supporting me when you have, and everybody, you have supported me since I had that little blue cover book.
With the apple on it.
Yeah, it looked like
an
a
apple. It had
tomato.
something red on it.
It was an apple, but it would look like a tomato.
Okay.
I published that book, and I am just so grateful because I would not be here without people like you and you, Rhonda, and you, Tony, and new ladies who came to know me. I would not be here. I just know these ladies because, I mean, Rhonda, I was in Europe, in Germany, and she came to see me. That's like crazy. Like, where they do that at?
Victoria supported my very first event when I started my business in New Orleans. The one for Essence Festival.
I really like that though.
And she was at our very first National Black Book Festival, and this year is year 16. We hope to have you and Rashonda next year. I'm
going to be in South Africa this year.
Yeah, I know this year, but I mean next year.
By the way, Mary Evans won.
She won the other, okay. And
Yes,
the name is
Charles Alfred
Charles
Anderson.
Alfred Anderson. That
Yeah.
was his name, Charles Anderson. Okay, well, we need to sign off.
Thank you,
It's been a
ladies.
blast.
It's been fun.
Thank everybody for watching Black Authors Matter TV. We'll see you next Tuesday at the same time. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Randall Lawson. Everybody go to ESPN and watch this Black history that's happening right now in the US Open.
Okay.